Hello and welcome to the inaugural video for my Talking Hands YouTube channel. For this first episode, I'm going to review my new phone, the BlackBerry KEYone. This will likely be quite long, so I'll try to link to some important key points in the review in the description below, so you can skip around if you want. Now I know what some of you are thinking when you hear BlackBerry. Oh, it won't have the apps I need, or it's not an Apple or a Samsung, so it's not cool enough for me to care about. Well, let me just clear these things up right away. First, this is a fully Android phone, so I have access to the Google Play Store where you can download all the apps you could possibly ever need. More than just Android, it is Android 7.1.1, which as of this recording is the latest non-beta Android OS. However, if you're part of that second group, well yes, this isn't an Apple iPhone, nor is it made by Samsung, so you're right, this isn't cool. If something like that matters to you and you care if you can blend in with your friends, then I guess this phone isn't for you. But with that out of the way, let's get crack-a-lackin' with this review. On the front, this is a 4.5-inch LCD protected by Gorilla Glass 4, which is pretty much the current standard for scratch and shatter resistant screens. It runs at a resolution of 1620 by 1080, which is a ratio of 3:2. With a PPI of a respectable 433 pixels per inch. You have this front-facing camera, which is pretty impressive, 8 megapixels, capable of shooting 1080p movies at 30 frames per second. Note that this lens is actually made of glass, not plastic. No front-facing LED flash, unfortunately, just the front LCD screen will light up to act as a flash, which seems to work pretty okay actually. Kind of gives a softer light compared to LEDs. So in some cases could actually look better than an LED flash, but it wouldn't have hurt to have the option as well. This is just the opening for the sensor array, which are just things like the proximity sensor, light sensor, also covered with glass by the way, not plastic. This little dot is the opening for the notification LED, which despite what the website says is RGB, meaning it can be programmed to many different colors and flash rates. Pretty useful, so even without unlocking your phone you can tell what notification is waiting for you, given of course that the messaging app you are using supports such customization. Under the screen is the row of Android navigation buttons. They're capacitive and not software. I'm not sure yet how I feel about that. On one hand, it doesn't interfere with what's on the screen. On the other hand, it meant losing the swipe up shortcuts BlackBerry Android had, like on the Priv, DTEK 50, and DTEK 60. Under that comes the main thing that sets this phone apart from the rest of the crowd, the physical keyboard. Cute angelic music, because this thing is a gift from above and I'm not even religious. Some of you are thinking, this is 2017, you don't need a physical keyboard. Yes, you're right, I don't need a physical keyboard, but I definitely want this physical keyboard. It's not just any physical keyboard, it's what they call a smart physical keyboard. Here's why. Not only can you type on this keyboard, but it's capacitive as well, meaning it can sense your touch, allowing for different gestures. A very useful one is swiping left to delete an entire word. Then there are the word suggestions while typing, which learns from your typing behavior. So if you see a word you want to use, you can simply swipe up on the keyboard instead of typing out that word. And possibly the most useful is if you double tap on it, you can then swipe your thumb or finger over the keyboard to move the cursor where you need it. No more trying to use your fat thumb to touch the exact right place to place the cursor if you need to edit something within text. You can also easily select text by holding the shift key and swiping over the keyboard to select text. Now here's another feature that is amazing to add to that. After selecting the text, what if you want to copy and paste it? Well, there's a setting on the phone where it would allow you to use control shortcuts like on your computer, such as Ctrl C for copy, Ctrl X for cut, and Ctrl V for paste. But there isn't a control button on this keyboard. What it does is you can set one of the shift keys to be the control button. Since I'm right-handed and would rather use my right hand to do the swiping and selecting, I'll keep my left shift as the shift key to make the right shift the control key. Now to do this, it is pretty buried in the settings, but I'll show you right now. Swipe down from the top, hit the gear for settings, scroll down to language and input, keyboard settings, BlackBerry keyboard, advanced, then scroll down to where you see the control key heading. Activate this, then choose which shift key you want to make into the control key. I have mine set to the right as I've mentioned before. While you're here, if you don't want to use the dictation when you press the 0 key, turn the setting off called dictation key. I did because I never use dictation, but that's up to you. But there you have it. Now when you're typing, you can double tap to place your cursor somewhere, hold shift and swipe your thumb to select the text, then hold the right shift key, type C for copy or X to cut, then move the cursor where you want to paste it and simply hold right shift and V to paste. That is such a cool feature on a phone. I absolutely hate doing this exact thing on a full touchscreen because it's so hard to be precise by smudging your thumb all over the screen and long pressing to get the paste option, etc. Also, since the keyboard is capacitive, while you're browsing a website or reading a blog, you can actually use the keyboard to scroll through the page. It works in both portrait and landscape. Very helpful so your thumb doesn't actually block any of the screen you're trying to read, especially while using the dual screen feature of Android 7. Speaking of which, notice that with the physical keyboard you never lose screen space due to a virtual keyboard. While typing, everything stays the same. This is especially apparent in dual screen mode. With an all-touch slab, the moment you start to type, this window would be reduced to a slither. The most important extra feature of the keyboard is the ability to set shortcuts. While at the home screen, you can set a shortcut for both short press and long press of each key, giving you a whopping 52 keyboard shortcuts you can assign. You can assign things like messaging someone, calling someone, launching an app, you name it. For example, I've short pressed this key to compose a text to my wife. While holding it or long pressing it, we'll call her. Hear a song on the radio, you want to know who sings it? I simply long press this key and SoundHound starts identifying. Short press this key to get to my contacts. Long press this key and it launches Google Maps. Long press this key, starts a new Evernote note. This is super useful. Definitely makes using the phone a lot faster as you don't need to scroll through endless pages of apps to get to things or scroll through your contact list to contact the people you talk to most. I actually have mine to where I don't have any icons on my home screen. Notice no page dots. I do everything using shortcuts. For the things I don't use often, I can simply go into the app drawer. And within certain apps, namely those unique to BlackBerry, like the Hub, BBM, there are also shortcuts like T to scroll to the top and B to scroll to the bottom. Another cool feature is the spacebar actually holds the fingerprint scanner. I would show you, but I choose not to put my fingerprint on my mobile phone, but everyone has said that this works very quickly. YouTube is full of reviews of the spacebar fingerprint scanner. You can check any of them out, and like I said, they all conclude that it is very fast, so nothing to worry about there. And let's not forget the general usefulness of the physical keyboard. Even without the plethora of smart features I went over, having a physical keyboard allows me to type much more accurately than on a virtual one. In fact, I have autocorrect completely turned off on my phone. I don't need it. I'm probably more accurate on it than autocorrect would be, so that would just result in what is now known as autocorrect fails. No thanks. Not only can I type accurately, I can do so without even looking at the phone. I can respond to a text while walking without walking into a telephone pole or into an open drain cover, for instance. Can't do that in the virtual keyboard. Surrounding the phone, this metallic looking frame is actually metal. I bet you were expecting colored plastic like most other phones are, but nope, this is all made out of high quality aluminum. Very premium feeling in the hand. You can feel the cold metal on your skin. Even this top piece with the grill is made out of the same high quality aluminum. It is even lightly beveled around the edge here, so it's not a sharp corner like it looks. Feels very nice. On top of the device, this small insert with the standard headphone jack next to it, it is actually plastic though. This little hole in the insert is a microphone. It's used during phone calls to listen to background noise to cancel some of it during the phone call. On the left side, this is the power button. Some have said they would rather it be on the other side where this button is, but I don't. I set it so that the power button ends phone calls, and this button is just way too easy to hit accidentally. Speaking of which, on this side, this is what they call the convenience key. Old-time BlackBerry users would know what it is. Basically, it's a shortcut button you can assign to perform a number of functions, and it works from anywhere as long as the phone is awake. So even while inside of an app, hitting this key would perform said action. You can set it to launch a certain app or perform a shortcut. I have mine set to turn on a flashlight. The camera can be turned on easily by double tapping the power button. Above the convenience key is the volume rocker, self-explanatory, up for volume up and down for volume down. I only wish they had the middle play pause button. That's always useful while playing music or videos from your phone. Above that is the tray that would hold both your SIM card and a SD card should you choose to expand your memory. I have a 128GB microSD card in mind. Around the back, this big opening is the main camera, 12 megapixel camera unit. This is the same Sony IMX378 camera module as used by the Google Pixel. The lens again is made out of glass, not plastic. And this is the dual tone LED flash. The cover of this is actually plastic, but that's fine. As I've said, the camera hardware is the same as the Google Pixel, but the software is different. So while I can easily say it's the best camera I've had on my mobile phone, I believe the Pixel still outperforms the KEYone in the camera department because they have proprietary software enhancements to their imaging processing. Of course, that means the software could one day be updated on my KEYone. I don't know. But either way, I'm satisfied with the quality of photos this camera is able to take. It's also quite fast. And in manual mode, you have a lot of available adjustments you can make. Tap here to manually focus. Decide you want to go back to autofocus, just tap here on auto. This looks like it should be the icon for aperture adjustment, but it's actually shutter speed. Again, hit auto to go back to auto. You can adjust the ISO here. You can do all these things by swiping across either screen or on the keyboard. And in auto mode, swiping on the screen or the keyboard will just adjust the exposure or compensation. Basically, you're telling the camera whether you want to come out darker or brighter, and the camera will make the required adjustments to achieve that. I would like a few more settings in manual mode, such as aperture setting. Maybe a software update could add that. In movie mode, it can shoot 1080p movies in 24 frames per second, 30 frames per second, and 60 frames per second. But in 60 frames per second mode, you lose the electronic image stabilization, which actually works quite well. Unfortunately, the phone doesn't have optical image stabilization. It can also shoot videos in 4K resolution at 24 or 30 frames per second. But get ready for your memory card to get filled pretty quickly if you do a lot of 4K videos. Overall, definitely the best mobile phone camera I have had. I won't stress too much that it isn't the absolute best on the market because I use a DSLR for all the important stuff anyway. But along with the aforementioned 8 megapixel front facing camera, I think this phone will be quite satisfactory to most people when it comes to the camera department. This back is a soft touch material that makes it quite nice to hold. It's not so grippy that it feels like rubber, but it's not too smooth that you feel like the phone will easily slide off. Although I still like to keep my pinky here in the bottom, just in case. Speaking of the bottom, here you will see the USB-C port, capable of USB 3.1 transfer speeds with your computer, and Quick Charge 3.0, capable of 50% charge of the large 3505 mAh battery in 36 minutes. There are two grills here. The right one is a speaker while the left one is for the microphone. Sorry, no stereo speakers here. Within the phone, it has 32 gigabytes of internal storage that you can expand with a SD card, 3 gigabytes of RAM. I would have preferred 4 gigabytes, but so far it's performing well with 3. And I've already mentioned the very generously sized 3505 mAh battery, coupled with the power-sipping octa-core Qualcomm 625 processor. This is easily a 2-day phone, if not more. No more looking all over the place for an outlet just to go through a single day. And even if you do, it supports Quick Charge 3.0 like mentioned before, but no wireless charging unfortunately. But I don't know if I can stress enough how great it is to not have to worry about my phone dying halfway through the day. Heck, twice already I went to sleep forgetting to put the phone on charge, and the battery lasted me through the second day no problem. And I was using my phone to watch YouTube videos, listen to music via Bluetooth in my car, phone calls, texts, using the internet. I was not holding back at all. The phone also has NFC, or near field communications. This is the technology behind Android Pay and now Apple Pay. But on Android, BlackBerry 7, BlackBerry 10, and Nokia phones, NFC can do so much more. I brought up those other platforms to make it clear that despite Samsung's marketing, Samsung and Android are not the only ones to have NFC on their phones, nor were they the first for that matter. Anyway, you can buy these things called NFC tags, or some might call them smart tags. They can come in different forms. Most common are these stickers that you can place on other things or around your house or car, or they can be on a keychain or bracelet. You can then use an app on your phone to write commands onto these tags that do certain things. You can have it do functions like turning Bluetooth on or off, turning Wi-Fi on or off, launch certain apps, launch websites, and many other things. For example, I have one inside my car that when I scan it, my phone will launch my music player and pair itself with the Bluetooth receiver in my car. I don't like things to automatically connect, so I disconnect it every time. Another example would be for one near your front door, so when you're leaving the house you tap it and it will turn off your Wi-Fi, and when you're coming home tap it and it will turn your Wi-Fi back on. There are a lot of cool things you can do with NFC, but of course right now the big thing is Android Pay that uses NFC. So it's good to have a phone now with it. Waking up the KEYone is extremely quick and simple as well. Simply double tap to wake. I know this isn't exclusive to this device, but it's a nice feature nonetheless. And at the same time double tap anywhere on the home screen that isn't a clock or any icons to sleep. This is part of the reason why I wanted to get rid of all my icons. Basically, just double tap anywhere except the clock to put my phone to sleep. Never have to reach for that power button. The BlackBerry launcher is very similar to stock Android, but has a few notable additions, such as the keyboard shortcuts, and also the pre-installed Hub and BlackBerry Suite. The Hub is great because it consolidates all of your communications and notifications, well, most of them. There might be some that it doesn't support, but most of the big ones it does. Like your different email accounts such as Gmail, Outlook, Yahoo, and others. Text messages, Facebook, Twitter, WhatsApp, Instagram, Google Hangouts, and LinkedIn can all be integrated into the Hub as well. Or you can individually choose which you'd like to integrate and which you don't. It's fully customizable and keeps your communications and notifications organized. No more searching around, opening different apps. Just check the Hub and select what you want to look at. Call quality is good. No complaints there. The single speaker isn't the best quality, but it seems loud enough for me, which is good. Some phones are so quiet you can't hear anything using speakerphone unless you're indoors with no noise at all. During the call, the convenience key acts as a mute key in case you want to say a few choice words by your caller without him or her hearing it. And also set it to where the power button ends the call. I like this better as I can do this without looking down at the phone, and I know for sure the call is ended before I put my phone away. BlackBerry Androids such as the KEYone come loaded with other BlackBerry apps besides the Hub already mentioned. There's the DTEK app that tells you if you left any vulnerabilities open on your phone, and there's also the productivity tab, which you can place on either side, and you can slide it out to see what tasks, calendar events, or notifications are waiting for you. You can do this from anywhere, even while inside other apps. I've moved mine to the left because the right side, sometimes to drag a scroll bar, the productivity tab will get in the way. And other than a few things I've mentioned through this review, there are a few things I would like to see changed or added to make this phone even better. First, since we have a capacitive keyboard, they make good use of it while typing and using it to move the cursor, but outside of that, all it does is scroll. I would like to see more, like maybe a way to activate pointer mode where like a mouse pointer appears on the screen and you can use the keyboard to move it around, then tapping on the keyboard would be like clicking the mouse. This would be awesome while browsing a website that isn't optimized for mobile to click on small links without needing to zoom in on them first. Also for going from one text entry field to another in a form. In that way, I would like for the pointer mode to stay active until you deactivate it, like maybe double or triple tap to activate and same to deactivate. Another thing is how top-centric Android seems to be. The notification drawer is a swipe down from the top. The send buttons on some messengers and email clients are on top. The clear all button in the recent apps screen is on top. The address bar in browsers are on top, etc. I get that on an all-touch, top and bottom should basically have equal importance, so it's not really an issue. But with a physical keyboard phone, you spend most of your time closer to the bottom of the screen where the keyboard is. So it would be nice if BlackBerry would make their launcher reflect this and move some things to the bottom of the screen instead, like in the Hub, which is a BlackBerry app. They should have the option to have the send icon for emails along the bottom of the screen. Or maybe introduce some kind of gesture either on the screen or on the keyboard to send the email. Because typing out the email here, then reaching up to the top to send, it's a bit counterintuitive in my opinion. Same with the recent app screen, an option to have clear all on the bottom would be nice. The BlackBerry launcher also lets you use downloader icon packs, which is really cool. As you can see, I'm not using the default icons as I wanted my home screen to be as clean looking as possible. What I wish they would also allow is for you to customize individual icons separately. Some other launchers let you do this, but not the BlackBerry launcher. Luckily for me, I don't want any icons on my home screen, so it's not a big deal. I only put these two because the app drawer icon looked too lonely there by itself. I can easily launch either of these two functions using the many shortcuts I have available. Overall, I can say that despite the few things I wish they would improve, this is the best phone I've ever owned. I love that I have access to all the Android apps and to Android Pay. It's fast enough to do everything I need from my phone without frustration. I can type accurately without needing to look at the phone, but most importantly is that I can do all of these things all day long without needing to worry about the battery life. I can't stress enough how great the battery life is on the phone. And while some might disagree with me, I find the phone to be a beautiful phone as well. The two-tone of the aluminum frame on the black screen and the black back makes it really pop. I actually get comments on the phone every time I take it out to use it, and so far they've all been really positive. Everyone seems to think it looks like a cool phone. I personally don't base my purchase on that. I mean, I would use this phone regardless, but it sure beats the comments I got when I was using an older BlackBerry phone. The phone I have been using is the unlocked USA GSM model, running on AT&T and bought for $549 US, which is more expensive than other phones with similar specs, but with premium camera, the smart keyboard, the fact that BlackBerry Androids get regular security updates to make sure they make good on the claim of being the most secured Android phone on the consumer market, and the premium materials used is worth the extra money. But in terms of feel and how quick the phone feels to use, it definitely doesn't feel mid-range like the specs would suggest. This is a premium feeling phone, and compared to other premium phones it's quite a bit cheaper. So price-wise, I would say this phone is priced adequately. I don't feel that it's overpriced as it feels and functions like a premium phone, nor would I say this is a great bargain as you can get all touch phones with similar specs for less money. At the end of the day, while it's a great phone for me, you have to ask yourself if these extra things the other mid-range phones do not have, such as the smart keyboard, the regular security updates, the premium materials, and the added subscription-free BlackBerry software suite, is worth the extra money for you. If you prefer an all-touch phone and spend most of your time watching movies on it, then definitely there are better options for you. The Motorola G5 Plus, for instance, is nearly identical as far as the internal specs go, has a larger screen and costs less. That's actually a very good choice if you don't want the things this phone offers. Not to imply you can't watch videos on the KEYone, you definitely can, and I find it very nice for that, but it's definitely not going to be as good as all-touch phones with larger screens. This phone is definitely a keeper for me, and definitely gets 10 fingers up as my rating. Is that too cheesy? I figure being called talking hands, I make use of my hands for my ratings too, no? Let me know what you think in the comments. If I miss anything, if there's anything you'd like to see me cover in my channel, suggestions, criticisms, questions, whatever. Make sure to subscribe below if you've enjoyed this video or found it informative. I hope you have. Thank you and take it easy.